1976. Beijing suffocates under silence. Mao Zedong, the man who ruled China with terror and devotion, is dying. His empire is built on fear, his legacy soaked in blood. And everyone close to him knows one truth. When a dictator stops breathing, the real killing begins. At his bedside, rivals pretend to pray. A widow sharpening knives behind her smile. A loyalist pretending weakness to survive. Generals counting bullets and enemies. Each heartbeat weaker. Each second darker. Each silence louder. Mao's final gift to China is a war for his throne. Beijing, early 1976. China feels cursed. In January, Premier Zhou Enlai dies. Crowds flood Tiananmen Square to mourn him. They cry for Zhou, but they are really crying for themselves. He was the only man who could soften Mao's brutality. Now he's gone. Mao Zedong is still alive, but he is a shadow. Inside Zhongnanhai, the leadership compound beside the Forbidden City, Mao lies in a guarded room, half his body numb, speech slurred, eyes clouded. He is no longer the roaring chairman. He is an old man choking on his own revolution. Yet everyone still fears him. At his bedside, power gathers. Jiang Qing, his wife, face rigid, eyes always angry. She survived as Mao's attack dog during the Cultural Revolution. She believes China now belongs to her. Hua Guofeng, recently promoted. A loyal functionary. Pressed suit. Careful smile. People barely know his voice. But Mao has marked him as successor. Marshal Ye Jianying, veteran of the Long March. He has seen emperors, warlords, and now Mao. He has watched the army humiliated by Red Guards Jiang helped unleash. He will not let that happen again. They share a room. They do not share trust. Outside, the country is cracking. Factories limp along. Railways struggle. People whisper about famine and chaos from the Cultural Revolution. No one knows who will be denounced next. In March and April, citizens secretly lay wreaths for Zhou Enlai in Tiananmen Square. Security forces remove them at night. By day, more appear. This is not just grief. It is protest. Historian Frank Decoder notes that by 1976, Mao's rule had left a country exhausted and frightened, a people waiting for change but terrified of saying it. Mao hears whispers of unrest around Zhou's memory. He smells danger. To him, mourning is not emotion. It is rebellion. He orders Deng Xiaoping removed again, the man many hoped would restore order. Deng is placed under house arrest. Hope locked away. The message is clear. Even dying, Mao can still destroy lives. Back in his bedroom, the air is thick. Jiang Qing leans over Mao, adjusting his blanket like a performance. She tells staff, "The chairman's line must continue. You will follow those loyal to him." She means herself. Hua Guofeng stands a step back. He lowers his head when she speaks. He looks harmless. But inside his jacket is Mao's handwritten note, naming him to lead. Marshal Ye watches them both. He remembers officers beaten to death in stadiums. He remembers Jiang Qing's speeches calling for more struggle. He knows if she wins, the army will bleed again. No one says this out loud. They just listen to Mao's breathing. In, out, slower each day. Outside the walls, 1 billion people live in fear of decisions made in this single room. They don't know the names of all the players. They don't know every plot. They only know one thing. When Mao dies, someone new will decide who lives in terror next. The empire is not mourning yet. It is waiting. The chairman is still alive, but his grip is slipping, and every hand near him wants what falls. Jiang Qing has survived the revolution by turning herself into a weapon. Now she sharpens the blade. She storms into propaganda headquarters, demands new posters, new slogans, defend Chairman Mao's revolutionary line. But the message beneath the ink is simple. Obey me. Her faction, the Gang of Four, stands behind her. Wang Hongwen, the young radical she wants as puppet leader. Zhang Chunqiao, strategist, icy and silent. Yao Wenyuan, propaganda master, pen sharper than knives. Jiang Qing, ambition in human form. They plan a future where the Cultural Revolution never ends, where struggle sessions return, where the army kneels. The rest of the party knows what that means. More prisons, more purges, more bodies. After Zhou Enlai's death, people flood Tiananmen Square with wreaths, flowers for the dead, hope for the living. Jiang Qing sees those flowers as an attack. She orders them removed. Police tear them away. Citizens return with more. On April 5th, protests explode. The Tiananmen incident. Thousands chant for change. Some shout Mao's name less loudly. Jiang Qing panics. She blames Deng Xiaoping, even though Deng is already under house arrest. She demands he be labeled a traitor. Mao's health declines. He barely understands the reports. Jiang Qing takes advantage. She speaks for him. She threatens to remove anyone refusing her orders. Officials nod, then run to Hua Guofeng or Marshal Ye Jianying and whisper warnings. She will destroy us. Historian Roderick McFarquhar notes, by mid-1976, the Gang of Four were feared, but isolated. Their enemies waited for the chairman to die. That isolation grows. Factories erupt in arguments. Students quietly support the army. The party leadership splits into camps, Jiang Qing's radicals versus everyone else. Yet nobody dares move against her. Not while Mao's heart still beats. She stands over Mao's bed at night, watching his chest rise and fall, imagining the power that will pass into her hands. Hua Guofeng watches from the doorway. He doesn't speak. He doesn't challenge her. He simply waits. Marshal Ye meets officers behind locked doors. No uniforms, no records. Only one goal. When Mao dies, we take her down before she takes us. Everyone knows the truth. China's fate depends on a single question. Who moves first the moment Mao stops moving? The widow thinks power is hers. She has no idea how many guns are pointed at her back. Beijing, late August to early September, 1976. While Jiang Qing takes the spotlight, Hua Guofeng takes control. He visits Mao daily, standing close enough to be seen, far enough not to seem threatening. Every time Mao drifts awake, Hua is there, a loyal shadow. But loyalty is camouflage. Behind closed doors, Hua locks down the essentials: Central Guard Bureau, Mao's elite security, state council meetings. Signatures now require his approval. Communication networks. He filters what the party hears. Historian Frank Decoder observes, Hua accumulated authority by quietly placing the machinery of the state in his hands. And Jiang Qing doesn't notice, because she only looks for applause. Hua keeps Mao's final message hidden. With you in charge, I am at ease. Mao's handwriting, 6 characters strong enough to crush Jiang Qing. Marshal Ye Jianying sees Hua's rising control. They meet in a shadowed courtyard, pretending to discuss Mao's diet while planning China's future. Yi whispers, "The army stands ready." Hua nods. "We wait for the moment." They both look toward Mao's residence, toward the man who once controlled life and death, now just a heartbeat controlling the timing of a coup. Meanwhile, the Chinese public only sees clues. Radio silence about Mao's condition. State TV replaying old speeches. Officials looking pale, avoiding questions. People remember the Cultural Revolution. They fear Jiang Qing's return to full power. They pray to avoid another decade of chaos. Some secretly hope for Deng Xiaoping, a leader who rebuilt the economy once before. But he's under house arrest, locked away by Jiang Qing. Hua knows freeing Deng too early is suicide, too much ambition in one room. He must win the throne first, then choose allies later. As Mao's breathing worsens, Hua positions a key player, Wang Dongqing, commander of the elite security guard, loyal to Mao's legacy, not to Jiang Qing. Hua says just one sentence: "When the time comes, protect China." Wang Dongqing nods, understanding exactly who China must be protected from. Night after night, Hua watches Mao struggle for air. He does not wish him well. He needs Mao to die. Just not tonight. Not before every piece is locked in place. The quiet man has transformed. He is no longer waiting. He is preparing to rule. Beijing, early September 1976. China's military remembers everything. They remember generals dragged onto stadium stages. They remember Red Guards swinging belts and bricks. They remember Jiang Qing shouting for more struggle. So now, as Mao's pulse slows, the army prepares for war. Marshal Ye Jianying leads the plotting. His office is bugged, his phone monitored, his staff terrified. So meetings happen outdoors, in parked cars, along garden paths, inside empty hospital corridors. He repeats one order: if she takes over, the PLA will bleed again. No one argues. General Chen Xilian controls Beijing's defenses. Tanks, artillery, enough firepower to erase the Gang of Four in minutes. General Wu Dai controls public security in the capital, the police force, the surveillance network. Every weapon needed to stop Jiang Qing is ready. Historian Philip Short writes that the military believed Jiang Qing threatened the survival of the state itself. To them, this is not a power struggle. It is self-defense. Meanwhile, the Gang of Four panics. Wang Hongwen visits the barracks, pretending to boost morale, trying to sniff out betrayal. Zhang Chunqiao demands command of the newspapers to prepare the transition. Yao Wenyuan drafts editorials praising Comrade Jiang Qing's revolutionary leadership. Their moves are visible and sloppy. In factories, workers whisper, "If she rules, our lives will be hell again." In universities, students hide banned books, not to read them, just to avoid being beaten for owning them. Everyone waits for the chairman's final breath, like prisoners waiting for a verdict. Inside Zhongnanhai, the air thickens. Marshal Ye meets Hua Guofeng in a quiet study. Ye doesn't smile often. Today, he does. The party stands with you. The message is clear. The army has chosen its side. Hua nods, relieved, but not safe. Not yet. Jiang Qing walks the same halls, heels loud, eyes scanning for disloyal faces. She senses resistance building. She tastes the fear in others and mistakes it for obedience. She thinks Marshal Ye bows to her. She thinks Hua trembles before her. She is wrong about both. Outside Mao's room, a nurse wipes blood from his lips. His chest rises and falls, unstable, stubborn. One more breath, then another, then another. Everyone in the compound listens to those breaths like gunshots in slow motion. Because once the last one comes, guns will decide who speaks next. The army has already chosen its enemy. All that's left is for Mao to die. Beijing, 10 a.m., September 9th, 1976. The moment China feared finally arrives. A monitor flatlines. The medical team freezes, terrified to say the words. Mao Zedong is dead. For 27 years, one voice ruled 1 billion people. One man decided who lived, who starved, who suffered. Now, silence. Doctors stand still, not mourning, fearing blame. Jiang Qing demands access to Mao's corpse. She screams at nurses, accusing them of murder for letting him die. Hua Guofeng steps between her and the body. Show respect to the chairman. He speaks softly, but his authority is unmistakable. Marshal Ye appears instantly. No sleep, no tears, just purpose. The three stare at Mao's corpse like vultures fighting over the first tear of meat. Historian Frank Dictator writes, "At Mao's death, the party entered a state of panic and confusion. Every official in China knows the rules have changed. Every enemy Jiang Qing made is suddenly unafraid to hate her. Hua and Ye rush to secure the core of power. Secretariat offices, communication center, state media, security forces. The Great Hall of the People radio broadcasts announce Mao's death. Millions hear it. Millions freeze. Across China, people burst into tears. But joy hides behind some grief. Relief mixes with fear. What happens now? Will the killings return? Who takes power? Mao's portrait hangs over Tiananmen Square. For the first time, it looks vulnerable. Back in Zhongnanhai, Jiang Qing vanishes into the halls, gathering the Gang of Four. They plan to move fast, secure propaganda, denounce enemies, arrest Hua Guofeng if necessary. But Hua is already 3 steps ahead. He offers a final blessing to Mao's body, a bow performed for the room, not the corpse. Then he stands tall, no more pretending to be small. Mao's death has crowned him, if he can keep the crown on his head. Jiang Qing believes her war begins today. Hua Guofeng believes it ends tonight. One dictator dies, another is born. But only one will control the gun that points next. Mao's final command was silence. What follows will be screams. Beijing, October 6th, 1976. 27 days after Mao's death, the palace of power becomes a trap. The Gang of Four arrive at the Zhongnanhai Council Hall for what they believe is a routine leadership meeting. No extra guards, no visible threat, just polished floors and silence that feels wrong. Jiang Qing sits confidently at the head of the table. She believes the revolution is hers. She believes tonight Hua Guofeng will obey her commands. But outside, the trap closes. Elite security forces under Wang Dongxing quietly surround the compound. Guns locked, radios off, orders clear. Arrest the Gang of Four. No speeches, no delays. Marshal Ye Jianying waits in a nearby building, hands steady, eyes unblinking. Hua Guofeng remains inside, playing his final card. He unlocks a drawer and pulls out Mao's handwritten note. With you in charge, I am at ease. Jiang Qing's smile evaporates. Wang Dongxing signals. Doors slam open. Boots thunder in. Rifles rise. Wang Hongwen jumps from his seat, a pistol tucked under his jacket. Soldiers pin him to the floor. Yao Wenyuan pleads that he's just a writer. No one listens. Zhang Chunqiao tries to negotiate. A mistake. He is gagged mid-sentence. But Jiang Qing, she stands, back straight, voice calm. You have no right. I am Chairman Mao's wife. Hua steps toward her, face cold. The party has decided. Her rage explodes. You are all counter-revolutionaries. This is a coup. Her voice shreds into screams. Soldiers seize her arms. She thrashes, spitting, kicking, cursing every name she can remember. The guards drag her away from the table she thought was a throne. Historian Philip Short writes, "The arrests were swift, silent, and absolute. A political death without bullets." Outside, Beijing sleeps, unaware that a decade of terror has just ended in a single night. No sirens, no struggle session, no chanting crowds, just silence, where power used to shout. By morning, state radio will announce arrests for anti-party activities. Most citizens will cry tears of relief for the first time in 10 years. One era is dead. Another has begun. The dictatorship survives, but its monsters just devoured each other. Beijing, late 1976 to 1978. Mao is gone. Jiang Qing is in chains. The Gang of Four disappear into prison cells deep beneath the state. China wakes up from a nightmare, but doesn't know how to dream anymore. Hua Guofeng stands at the top of the party. Officially, he is Mao's successor. His slogan is printed everywhere. Whatever Chairman Mao said, we shall follow. He keeps Mao's portraits high. He keeps Mao's statues untouched. He keeps Mao's titles sacred. But behind the scenes, Hua begins dismantling the machine of fear. The secret police lose their permission to terrorize. Campaigns and public trials stop. People breathe easier. Then, a ghost returns. Deng Xiaoping, the man Jiang Qing tried to destroy, steps quietly back into Beijing. He meets generals. He meets economists. He meets survivors of Mao's purges. They tell him the truth. China is starving in peace. Factories are broken. The future is dying. Historian Frank Decoder notes, Deng saw China could no longer survive Maoism. It had to move on from revolution to reconstruction. Deng does not shout. He does not threaten. He waits. And Hua Guofeng makes one fatal mistake. He tries to govern like Mao, but without Mao's fear. People stop listening. The party shifts its weight and lands behind Deng. 1978, Third Plenum. Deng takes command of policy. He pushes China toward economic reforms, away from cult worship and endless revolution. Hua remains alive, but irrelevant. The fate Mao wished on Jiang Qing falls gently upon him. In prison, Jiang Qing refuses to break. She screams that she is the widow of Mao, that history will honor her. History disagrees. China begins removing Mao's voice from classrooms. Statues quietly relocated. His mistakes cautiously mentioned. His image still hangs. But power moves on. One truth rises from the ashes of fear. A dictator can control a nation through terror, but he cannot control what comes after him. Mao once promised a new world. He delivered a scarred one. His death did not set China free, but it let China choose a different future. And for the first time in decades, a nation conditioned to obey finally learned to change. When the worship ends, the truth starts to speak.